Welcome to Crimepedia. If you're expecting Captain and Morgan surprise, this is actually a true crime show. This is your Captain and Morgan spin-off show, Crimepedia. I am your host, Morgan, and with me is my lovely co-host, Cherry.
Hello! Yay! I just want to do a little dance when you say, this is Crimepedia. So I'm like, yay!
Yeah. What? I don't want to like toot our own horn, but what a great name for a podcast.
I know. Who would have guessed this was already taken? And there's us.
I know. We've talked about, I don't know how many times we talked about, like, I can't believe no one has a podcast called Crimepedia.
I know.
Because you kind of feel like you see like all these new podcasts coming out, true crime podcasts, and they have to like get really creative, and they have to be like whiskey and true crime, or
true crime and handbags or something like that.
Yeah. And so that, I think that makes it more difficult, especially with us. I'm like, because like when we knew we were going to do this and we were going to have this little spin-off show or our own little true crime show, we knew that we had to come up with a name. And it took me, I don't know, like for the longest time, I think I was thinking too hard into it to come up with a name.
It's hard, isn't it? It's really hard because we were trying to think of like something incorporated our names and crime, and it didn't really work, did it? And then you genius came up with this little beauty.
Yeah, I know. Even like something like, isn't there one like we couldn't even do something like called like transatlantic crime? Because I think there's a show called that or something.
Yeah, there is. There's Transatlantic Crime, and they're really good. It's a great podcast, and that's two ladies, and it's one from England, one from America. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. So I just happened. I don't know how. I was thinking. I was like, okay, let's do crime. What can we do? Crime what? And then I was like, oh, Wikipedia. I know there's Murderpedia. Let's see if there's any Crimepedia out there. Nope.
Go. And then we were like, yes, we will have that. Thank you very much. And now it's ours. So hands off, people.
Oh, so Cherry, how have you been since our last little Captain Morgan show?
Yeah, it's all good. It's very hot here at the moment. It's nice and sunny, and it's nice, and we had like thunderstorms. It was supposed to be due thunderstorms today, but so far nothing. But it's very hot, very humid, very sticky. But at least it's not raining, so I can't complain. Not complaining because I love the sun.
So basically, you are having an American summer right now. This is basically that's just every day here.
Oh yeah, it's just basically your life. So yeah, we're enjoying it. It's nice.
Now we were talking before we started recording, and you asked me if AC air conditioning is common here or in place. Yeah. So it's insane
don't have
that you don't have that.
No, it's not common here at all. Not at all. We don't have new houses unless I think you specifically, or if you're building a new house and you specifically want it built in, it doesn't come as standard in our houses. But then to be fair, we don't have usually heat like this a lot. We're not prepared for heat like this. We always just moan about the weather. No matter if you speak to an English person, they will always talk to you about the weather.
I always forget how far north England actually is, right?
Yeah.
Like if without looking at a map and you're like, oh, United States, we just go across the ocean and there's England. No, that's not how it works. You guys are actually pretty far north.
Yeah. And we already had this conversation when I said to you, when I come and visit, I want to pop to Alaska. And you were like, you can't just pop. And I was thinking, okay, I could just pop over and say hi. And you're like, no.
Now, what did I say? How long would it take to drive?
5 days. It was like
5 days.
5 days, 18 minutes or something stupid. So I was like, oh, there'll be no pop into Alaska then.
And I showed you, I did like, I forget what the website is. It's like the true size of or something like that.
Yeah.
Where you can go and you say, okay, United States, and then you can take it and you can put it over Europe to show like where things were. And it was something ridiculous. I think I had, okay, if
I think we had like half of Germany, half of Europe was in the map.
I had it. I said, okay, if you're Alaska, if where you live is Alaska, I think I ended up where I live would have been the Pakistan-Afghan
That's
border.
right. Yeah, on the border.
It was
And yeah,
huge.
so
It's
it
huge.
was massive, massive. So
I was
there
trying to
shall be
explain, okay,
no popping over there.
you might be able to go some places on the East Coast, but
Yeah.
you need to limit your travel time. You're not going to be going, hey, I'm going to go to Disney World and then I'm going to go to Disneyland. I'm like, no, one or the
No.
other.
The trouble is, I've got all these lists of places that I really want to see. America's a lot smaller in my head than it actually is in real life. So I think it's going to take 1 or 2 trips. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it all in one, unless I come out for like a year.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Well, maybe a year you can see a lot.
Yeah.
You can see most of it in a year, I think.
Yeah. Maybe that'll be the thing. Maybe I'll just take a year off and go, right, I'm coming to visit.
Okay, here, question. If you have, you're in the United States, you can go anywhere in the United States, right? But you can only see 3 things.
Oh, no.
What would those 3 things be?
Right, okay. I really, really want to go to Alcatraz. So that would have to be one.
Okay. Yeah.
Then I think it would probably be... Oh, because I can't choose Brian Schaefer, can I? Because I really want to go and see the funky tuna or whatever it's called, Tuna-Rama or whatever that place is called.
The funky tuna.
Yeah,
the ugly tuna saluna.
That's it. That's it. I want to go there. No, not that's.
No, you can. No, and what I said was you can come to the United States. You can go anywhere in the United States.
Okay.
You can see 3 things. So yeah, you
3
can say
things.
Alcatraz and ugly tuna saluna. You can say that.
Okay, and then the last one would probably be... Oh, that's hard. I've got to go to Texas. I want to go and buy a cowboy hat, so it's going to be Texas somewhere. Just anywhere,
Just to buy a
anywhere.
cowboy hat?
Yeah, I want to buy a proper cowboy hat and boots and a belt. Done. That's my American experience over. I just want to go to Texas, buy a prison. I want to go and buy clothes and then visit a murder scene or a suspected murder scene. Oh dear.
I've been to Texas. I've only been really to 2 places in Texas. I've been to Austin, which is a great city.
Yeah.
And I've been to South Padre Island, which is I went there for spring break, of course, right? When I was like 20, 21. Woo, spring break, woo! It wasn't a great spring break, to be honest. The weather wasn't great. It was kind of chilly. I mean, I remember wearing like a hoodie on the beach. Actually, I don't think we even really went out to the beach because it was so cold.
Oh, that's fun.
The best part was really the best part was probably where we stayed. We stayed at a little cheap motel or whatever. But there were security guards. One of the security guards, his name was Eddie, and he was from Monterrey, Mexico. And he was like the coolest guy ever. I loved Eddie.
Go Eddie.
Go Eddie. And so I remember there were some football players from I think it was the University of Wisconsin Stevens Point, which is a small school. I think it's like a D3 school or something like that. So they were there, and we didn't really make friends with them or anything, but we didn't have any problems with them. But they would go out to the beach every day and fly the Stevens Point flag. It was like purple with like SP and yellow, and it was kind of like and at one point, drunkenly, I said to Eddie, I was like, Eddie, I want to steal that flag. I'm going to find a time. I'm going to steal that flag. He's like, well, okay. He's like, oh, all right. He gave us all names. He called me Guapo.
Guapo. Isn't that beautiful? Guapa. Isn't that beautiful?
He's like, hey, Guapo. Hey, yeah. So there's Guapo. He called one of our friends Worm. It was weird.
Oh,
whatever.
Okay.
So then one night, I told him that, and then I don't know if it's the same day or like another day, but I remember we went out to some little bar. They were playing. They had like they had a DJ that was playing. I don't even know what the kind of music is. It was Mexican like dance electronic music. I don't know. It was weird. But anyways, so we go there and we're having a good time. There's no one else there really. It was just like me, my friends, and like I think we were there with like 2 or 3 girls from Alabama. They went to the University of Alabama that we ended up hanging out with. So we're having a good time. We ended up drinking a ton of tequila. Went back to the hotel wasted. Eddie's there. And the first thing he do is like, hey, well, come here. I'm like, yeah. He's like, I got something for you. I'm like, okay, what do you got for me? He pulls out the flag. Eddie went and stole the flag from me.
Go Eddie.
He was the best.
I think Eddie had a bit of a crush on you because he's calling you beautiful and he's stealing things for you. I think Eddie liked you a bit. He's soft on you.
I
Bless
don't
him.
know. He had a family. He had kids. He was a good guy. I liked Eddie a lot.
Yeah, that doesn't mean anything. He
I
could
know,
still
I
think
know.
you're hot. You never know.
Eddie, if you're out there listening, thanks, man. I love you.
He still loves you. I did spring break in Vegas. I went to Vegas and it was spring break when I was there. And all the people were there and they were spring break. Woo,
so
spring break, woo.
You weren't going for spring break. It just happened to be spring break.
It just happened to be that everybody was there and everybody seemed to be on spring break in Vegas. So yeah, at the same time.
I think we talked about that once, but we ended up not doing it. That would be crazy. Spring break in Vegas would be crazy.
Yeah, it was. It was really busy and there was a lot of people walking around with cocktails in these huge, massive, big glasses and stuff. But yeah, it was nice. Everyone was really friendly, really lovely.
Yeah. See, Vegas is one of those places where you can easily get in trouble because, it's time doesn't matter in Vegas at all.
No, that's right. Nothing at all.
I've only been there once and that was enough for me. Maybe I'll go back one day.
I'm going to go back. I'm going to take my husband for his 40th. I want him to see it because I went on my own, so he hasn't seen it. So, yeah, I think it'll be cool. I think he'll like it. I just want to show him the sheer size of everything because compared to little old England, everything is just humongous there. And you just literally walk around like, wow, amazing. So,
okay. So would you do Texas or would you do Vegas? Which one would
Texas.
you do?
If I had to choose, it'd be Texas. Yeah, definitely. I don't like horses very much, but I reckon I could pull off cowgirl uniform,
Oh, yeah.
I reckon I could get away with it.
Definitely. I definitely think so.
Yeah. Want some cool jeans, plaid shirt, hat. I reckon I could pull it off. Shania Twain style.
Buckle, huge
definitely.
Belt buckle.
Yeah, some cool boots. And we've got a friend that lives in Texas, so I'm so going. She told me all about her mum and dad's ranch. I want to go there. And she does amazing barbecues.
Yeah. She's outside of Austin, I think.
Yeah.
Just outside.
She's not far, is she? Yeah. That's right. So that would be cool. So we can go there and have a really cool barbecue. Proper barbecue. Yeah.
So Cherry, before we hop into our story for this week or our case this week, I want to give you one little headline. And I'm gonna take this headline and I'm gonna file it under what? That's where I'm filing.
It's filed under what?
What?
Okay.
In that file. Okay.
Yep.
So you were a wrestling fan growing up.
Yep.
Right? Yes.
Yep.
Do you remember the Rockers, the tag team with Shawn Michaels and Marty Jannetty?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, so everyone, Shawn Michaels became the star. Marty Jannetty, not so much.
No, he just kind of disappeared, didn't he?
He did kind of disappear. Well, he popped back up recently, right?
Okay.
But not for a good reason.
Right.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. So Marty Jannetty recently went onto Facebook, and I think he was going through a breakup. He had a girlfriend that broke up with him.
Oh.
But on a post, Marty Jannetty basically told the world that he killed a man when he was 13 years old.
Okay. Right. Okay.
All
on
right.
purpose or accidentally?
Well, on purpose. So this post that he wrote, he stated, and let me see if I can actually find the actual one. But he stated basically that it was the first. Well, first off, he said it's the first time I killed anyone. Here, I'm going to read it verbatim. This is way.
Oh yeah, read
this
it.
This is the part that matters. I've never told no one this, even my brother Gino, because Gino would have killed him, and I didn't want my brother gone. Hell, he'd only recently come home from Vietnam. I was 13, so this would have been either like 1973 or 1974, something around there.
Yeah, because he was 60, isn't he? So it would have been 73. Yeah,
exactly. So I was 13, working at Victory Lane's bowling alley, buying weed from I'm not going to use a derogatory word.
No.
But from a gay man that worked there, and he put his hands on me. He dragged me around to the back of the building. You already know what he was going to try to do. That was the very first time I made a man disappear. They never found him. They should have looked in the Chattahoochee River. Okay. And then it gets into his girlfriend. This is where it's weird, right? Because it almost seems like it's a threat to this ex-girlfriend now.
Yeah.
So they should have looked in the Chattahoochee River. But Winnie, the girl in these pics, I liked you so damn much. Probably my favorite. But I promised myself way back then nobody would ever hurt me again. That includes you. I loved you. but you hurt me with your fucking Jamaican jealousy. You can go your own way. I don't need you. Okay. All right. So last part, it almost sounds like a threat.
Yeah.
So Marty Jannetty, 13 years old, working at Victory Lanes in Columbus, Georgia, which exists, right? So there. I don't know if it's still there, but there was a Victory's Lane. At least there was a Victory's Lane bowling alley in Columbus, Georgia. The Chattahoochee River does go through Columbus. Apparently, he was going to buy some weed from someone that worked there. That person tried to assault them, sexually assault them. I'm assuming from what he's saying, and then he ended up killing him. Well, this sounds like self-defense, right?
But like at 13, so he's 13 years old. 13. He's killed a fully grown man, possibly.
Apparently, yeah.
Okay.
Or at least, sound like someone's older, right? So not only that, but after this, I think it was the day after he posted this, he ended up going on to some wrestling radio program in Boston,
right,
to kind of clarify things, right? And he clarified that, in fact, yes, he did kill the man. So it was behind the bowling alley. The guy tried to pull him into a car. He was trying to get away. He ends up grabbing a brick and smashing him in the head repeatedly, and then dragged his body to the river and put him in.
Oh.
Great. Okay. So either this
Why
guy
would you do that on Facebook?
Facebook, yes. And even...
But didn't he? There was reports before that his Facebook got hacked because somebody was writing things on about his daughter or something, about he wanted to have a relationship with his daughter or something.
Yes. So yeah, that was, I don't know, that was probably a year or two ago when on Facebook well, he didn't know it was his daughter or something at one point. So it was like a daughter he didn't know he had.
Oh,
but then
God.
after they met, he went on Facebook and said, yeah, he wants to have sexual relations with his daughter. Okay, creepy.
Oh, this guy. He's
out there. He's out there.
He's out there.
I don't know if this is true or not. I don't know if he actually killed a man. There's things that do match up. Yeah, his brother would have been fighting in Vietnam when he was 13. He would have come home around 73, 74. Victory's Lanes exists. So maybe it's true. All we know is the Georgia Bureau of Investigation is actually looking into this.
Really? They're actually looking into it?
Yeah, they are. So they're going to look to see if they can find any information on maybe a missing person, find out if there was someone that worked at Victory Lanes that disappeared or whatever. So
surely it can't be that hard. It can't be that hard to find someone that used to work there.
True. This is one of those stand by and we'll see what happens. But
we'll stick a sticker on this one and come back to it, definitely.
Yeah, this is either a man that is greatly delusional, or this is a man who has killed someone and
it's just owned up on Facebook.
But this is nothing will happen to him unless GBI comes across anything to indicate there might have been a crime.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Interesting.
So there's your headline. There's your what? Headline.
What? I like that. That's good. We should do one of those every week. I like that on What's. That's great. There's some weird people in the world.
Oh, there's a ton of weird people in the world.
So this week's case, we've got a really good case to start with, haven't we? It's this one that's got both of us scratching our heads and going into all different sorts of possibilities for our very first Crimepedia episode. We've got a great one for you. So grab yourself a cup of tea and put your feet up and have a listen, because you're gonna be scratching your head like we are, to be honest.
August 15th, 1997, was a seemingly normal summer day in Opp, a small town of less than 7,000, located between Andalusia and Enterprise in southern Alabama. For Kemberly Ramer, that meant doing what she loved most. That Friday evening, Kem, as she was known to her family and friends, attended a City League softball game. She had made plans to go out with friends afterward, but first needed to head home to shower and change. Before doing so, she placed her arms around her father's neck, kissed him on the cheek, and said, "I love you, Dad." This would be the last time anyone in Kemberly's family saw her alive. All right, Cherry. So, Kemberly Lauren Ramer. She was the youngest daughter of Kenny Ramer and Sue Enfinger. She was 17 years old at the time and preparing to start her senior year of high school in op. She was an avid softball player and was on her high school cheerleading squad. Her parents were divorced at the time, with her father living in op and her mother, Sue, living in nearby Walton County, Florida. Kim was primarily staying with her father, but spent time with both parents as she wished. Okay, so that's kind of
That's cool. Yeah,
some little background on her. I think where we need to start with this case is on August 15th in the timeline that we do know. So what we actually know of her whereabouts on that day. Okay.
Yep.
So it was a Friday, as I said, on August 15th at 8 p.m. So we're going to start the story at 8 p.m. So at 8 p.m., she goes and she plays in a city league softball game. Okay. Apparently her team, from what I've seen, apparently her team lost 17-1. So not a great game.
Oh.
But that game ended around 10 p.m. or so. All right.
Okay.
And so after the game, she sees her dad. She's going to go, supposed to be hanging out with her friends, but wants to go home, take a shower, change before she goes, which makes sense. But that actually does not happen. Instead of going home, showering, and change, she ends up going to her boyfriend's house, who also lives in op. Okay.
Yeah, and it's not very far from her dad's home, is it, where he lives? He lives quite close,
No.
a 5-minute drive.
About a 5-minute drive.
Yeah.
Now, this boyfriend is really we'll call him a secret boyfriend from the family. So the family is not aware of him. Now the friends are. So her friends know of this man. He is an older man. Apparently, he has at least one kid. So he's a dad, older man, lives in op. She had not told her family about it. I don't know if that is, or if it was a recent relationship, or she just didn't feel comfortable telling parents that she was seeing an older man.
Do we know if he's married? Is he still married, or is he divorced? Did I read he was divorced somewhere?
He might be divorced now.
Yeah.
I don't know if at the time he was married or not.
Right. Okay. I'm not sure on that.
Of course, there was a baby mom in the picture somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I wasn't able to find any information on him if he was actually married at the time.
Right. Okay.
I would think it'd be hard. Well, it might be hard for him to be married if she's going over on a Friday night, unless he is married and the wife is working third shift or whatever.
Or maybe they've split up. If they've separated, but he's still actually married. Perhaps they might have separated if that's the case. It could be that.
That's very true.
Yeah.
No. That's very, very true.
Okay.
So we can say that op is very small, right? So we can say she probably gets over there sometime around 10:15, 10:30 maybe at the latest, depending on how long she's sticking around the ball field.
Yeah.
Now her dad has a strict curfew for her, so she needs to be home at 11:30, and she knows that. So according to the boyfriend, she does leave his place around 11:30. Like we said, it's about a 5-minute drive, so she gets home probably no later than 11:45.
Right.
Let's say 11:45.
Okay.
We know she makes it home, or something. I don't know if I want to say we were sure she makes it home. I'm pretty sure she makes it home. How about that?
Her car's on the drive, so the car
Yeah,
gets back there.
yeah. So the house is like a 1-story ranch which has a carport on one side. So the car is actually pulled up into the carport. So her car is there.
Yeah.
Now we can assume she made it home because all her clothes were there. Her contacts were out and in the case, so she took her contacts out.
And her glasses were there, so she didn't have the alternative
and her glasses
of
there.
Yeah, so she wouldn't have gone out wearing her glasses or not come back. So they were both there.
That's correct. So the disappearance really happened sometime between approximately 11:45 and let's say 8 in the morning. Okay. So we'll get back to what happens after 11:45 p.m. here in a bit. But let's continue with our timeline. So from there, this is what we absolutely know. We know that on Saturday morning, Kim's dad, Kenny, comes home. So Kenny was not staying at the home that night. Kenny had a girlfriend. He was staying with his girlfriend the night of the 15th. So Friday, August 15th.
Yeah.
That morning, he does return home to retrieve his golf club. So he's going to go golfing that morning. He doesn't notice anything amiss, and didn't probably assume that Kim was in her bedroom. Now, Kim on Saturday was supposed to be going down to her mom's house in Walton to stay the night on Saturday. Okay.
And it makes sense if she's thinking and planning to see her boyfriend. It makes sense that she stays at her dad's because there are only 5 minutes between the two. So it makes sense that night, even though her dad's not there, it makes sense that she stays over at her dad's because then she just doesn't have to drive all the way back down to her mum's. So you can see why she's done that.
Yeah, so it's like a 5-minute drive compared to down to her mom's house. It's probably about 35 to 40 minutes.
Yeah, so it makes sense why she's there.
Yeah, so she's supposed to be staying with the mom Saturday night. Kenny goes and goes golf. Her car is there, of course, but still he doesn't think anything's amiss because it is quite possible that Kim's going out with friends. She was supposed to be hanging out with her friend Deirdre on Saturday. They had something that they were supposed to do together. It was either handing out pamphlets or selling some books or something. So they were going to get together. Deirdre does go over that morning, knocks on the door, no answer, no answer, of course.
Yeah.
At some point, Kenny decides, hey, I'm going to call to make sure she makes it down to mom's house. He calls Sue. He goes to voicemail, misses the call. At some point, Sue calls back to Kenny because Kev's not there. Once again, they're missing calls. So Saturday is kind of hit and miss, right? So they're calling each other to see, hey, is Kemberly there, or have you seen her? It's not until actually Sunday when they finally realize something is wrong. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So they get a hold of each other. She's not with mom. She's not with dad. They notice in her bedroom that the bedroom has been, it looks like there was a struggle in the bedroom. Okay. So the bed is the sheets and everything are off the bed or thrown, I don't know what you want to call it.
Ruffled.
So they're just
they said it was, they're just not neat, which is unlike
they're not
her.
neat.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There were pictures off the walls. And there was a pillow that seemed to have been stuffed between the bed and the wall, right? Okay. So it does look like there was some type of struggle there.
Yeah.
So it was Sunday when they finally called the police to say, hey, our daughter's missing. Okay. So that's when we kind of get into the investigation a little bit and trying to figure out what actually happened to Kemberly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, so far, I think everything it makes sense. It makes sense why they didn't call the police right away on Saturday.
Yeah.
I mean, she is 17 years old.
Exactly. She's not. It's not as if she's 12 or 13. I mean, she's 17. So, I mean, I've got a 15-year-old, and she's in and out all the time. So you'd come in, and if the car's there, you might shout up and say hi. You know, if you might assume that she's gone out with her friends, you might not think too much of it. It'd be different if you came in and the bedroom was full of blood or something. But if you just put your head round the door and there's no kid there, and the room is generally, no teenagers are completely neat and tidy, or not very many.
Yeah.
So you might not really think much of it in the first instance. So I can see why they didn't immediately phone the police, because it didn't immediately look suspect.
Yeah. Yeah. And like we said earlier, her contacts were in the case, her glasses were there, and they noticed that all her shoes were home. So she didn't have, wherever she was or where she went or wherever she was taken, she did not have shoes on.
Now, see, this kind of thing I always find quite suspect, because one, being a girl, I have loads of shoes. I mean, like loads. I couldn't even tell you how many pairs of shoes I've got upstairs, including like flip-flops, like trainers, that kind of stuff. I honestly couldn't tell you which ones. The same with my daughter. I couldn't tell you how many pairs of shoes she's got. She's got that many that you just kick about in. So for me, I think that's quite a strange thing to say, is that she definitely didn't have any shoes on because all of her shoes were at home. Well, maybe.
I don't know. It depends on how many actually pairs of shoes she has, right? So,
well, exactly. She could have some at her mum's and some at her dad's. Maybe she only had a couple of pairs at her dad's. So maybe that's why he's saying all of her shoes were there.
yeah. And now it makes sense to me, like as a guy, especially when I was like that age, I probably had maybe one or two pairs of shoes, right? And that's it.
You see, girls aren't like that though. Girls have usually got loads. I mean, you've got like sandals. You've usually got what do you call them? Sneakers, like flip flops, sliders. There's loads of different types. So I don't know. Yeah, just to me, being a girl, for me, that makes me feel a bit like, oh, okay, I've got loads of shoes my husband doesn't know about. Shh, don't tell him.
But I feel like there has to be something. There has to be something.
Yeah, they must know.
That they know, right? Because that's something very specific.
That's a very strange thing to say.
She doesn't have any of her shoes.
That's right.
So there has to be a reason for that. It can't just be like, oh, we think she has all her shoes.
Yeah.
So maybe she only had a few pairs at the dad's house,
exactly.
or maybe there was certain shoes that they knew that she was always wearing.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. That's good. Yeah, that's true. Like, I guess my daughter would only have a few pairs at her dad's house, so perhaps he would probably say, "Oh, hang on a minute, something's missing." Whereas here, where she lives, it would be that she's got loads in the cupboard. I probably couldn't tell you which ones she wears and which ones she doesn't. So that would probably make sense, actually. When you put it like that at the dad's house, then that would make sense that all the shoes were there. So that's cleared that one up. Okay.
Hopefully it clears it up. So let's kind of rewind a little bit. So let's go back to the 15th in early morning hours of the 16th, right? So the police and FBI ended up pinpointing approximately what time they think she was abducted, or what time she was abducted or attacked or whatever it was, right?
Yeah.
So they found out that at around 5:30 a.m., there were phone calls that were made from the home to a 850 area code, which is Walton County. So that,
I was just going to say, where is that? Okay.
Walton County, Florida.
Right,
so that like northeast portion of the Florida Panhandle. Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
But according to Sue, the numbers that were called, I think there were 3 numbers that were called. None of the numbers appeared to have been numbers that Kemberly would have known.
Oh, okay. So we're possibly looking at maybe a perpetrator then has made those phone calls from her
That's
her
correct.
house.
From her house at about 5:30.
Come on.
Now here's the other strange part. Okay. So these numbers that were called, apparently they weren't registered to any person or any business. Okay.
Right. Okay.
So that they're basically numbers that were not in service.
That's weird. Are they like an answer machine service or something like that? Or no, just not registered to anyone at all?
Not to anyone. So if you
weird.
called, I'm assuming it'd be like, this number that you dialed is
Yeah,
not
not
in
in
service, whatever,
service.
right?
Yeah.
According to Sue, one of the telephone numbers she believes was an 850, and it started with the exchange like 956. But the trailing four numbers were zero, so it'd be like 0000. So Sue, it believes that it was the perpetrator who was trying to call someone for help, but was having a hard time remembering the
The
telephone
number.
number.
Yeah.
So that they were trying, they might have called a number that they thought it was, but ended up
Yeah.
not being it.
Yeah. Because obviously, if they are in a bit of a panic, they obviously haven't got a cell phone with them, because otherwise they would have used that. So they're obviously in
No,
a
this is,
panic,
yeah,
and they've used the
1990.
house phone.
You got to remember, it's 1997.
But there
Still
were
cell
cell phones,
phones.
but not so much.
There were cell
They
phones,
were,
but
yeah.
not
Yeah.
popular. I mean, it wasn't.
No.
I mean, in 1997, I can tell you, I don't think I knew anyone that had a cell phone.
I had a
Well, it wasn't until like
Nokia.
a year or year
Yeah.
later that
Yeah.
people really started getting cell phones. Probably was
That's true.
98, 99 is probably
Yeah.
when like my friends started getting cell phones.
Yeah, that's true.
97 was still pagers.
Yeah. Oh, that's true.
A
Yeah.
lot of pagers.
So that's not a pager. That's not a pager like now. Obviously, it'd be out of service now, but it's not a pager. It wouldn't have been something like that. I suppose they would have done it at the time, wouldn't they? So at the time, it wouldn't have been in service then either. So, okay. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So that sounds like somebody who's panicking and trying to remember a number, and it's not happened like 3 times. It's been wrong.
Exactly. And that's what it sounds like to me. I think they were trying to get a hold of someone to help out.
Whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, it sounds like possibly she was killed in the house. And if there's no signs of like blood or anything, I'm assuming it's probably strangulation, right?
Yeah. Or either knocked unconscious or something like that, possibly.
Very possible. Yeah.
Because there's no
there was no blood.
No.
Yeah, that's correct. There's no evidence of like any sort of besides the bed being messed up and pictures off the wall. There's no sign of any sort of violence in the room.
Yeah. Okay. So we've got there's no murder weapon. There's no obvious signs of a murder of any kind, really, when you look at it like that.
That's correct.
Ooh.
Now let's go back to Kenny, right? So Kenny, like you said, I said Kenny came home that morning to get his golf clubs. What I did not say, and I didn't say this on purpose, Kenny did not. I said Kenny didn't notice anything out of the ordinary. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that means that there was no sign of breaking and entry, right? So there was no like kicked in door. There was no broken window. There was no windows open. Doors were locked. Okay.
Doors were locked.
House,
okay. Yeah.
Whoever got in the house, either A was let into the house by Kemberly.
Yeah. So somebody possibly she knew.
Or someone that had a key to the house. Okay.
Well, yeah, because they would have had to lock the door after getting rid of her. Or them leaving, after them leaving, they would have had to have locked the door behind them. So that suggests to me straight away that would be somebody who perhaps knows the house. Because if you were in a bit of a panic, surely you'd just shut the door and go. Or you just leave. You wouldn't think to then lock it, to find keys to then lock it. But if you had a set of keys, then perhaps you would lock it afterwards, just out of perhaps habit, maybe.
That's correct.
That's interesting. So the dad, so we know for definite the dad's been cleared. We know for definite it wasn't him.
The dad was cleared. I can tell you for a fact that everyone in the family and the secret boyfriend have been cleared of the crime.
Okay, so we know it did, because that was straight away the first thing you think of as well. Okay, so the dad had an argument with her and the dad's done it. But then if he's been cleared, so we know it's not him. The secret boyfriend's been cleared, so that rules that one out. Interesting. And her mum was nowhere near, so it wouldn't have been her.
Yeah, that's correct.
Ooh, okay.
So, of course, the investigation begins, and they're looking into every single angle. Okay. Now, on August 29th, I believe it was 29th, 1997, so we're talking 2 weeks later, there is a article in the Star News, which is I'm going to have to pronounce this correctly again. It's Andalusia.
Yeah.
Andalusia. I think I pronounced that right. Star News about the police wanted information on a truck which they believe was connected to the disappearance of Kemberly. All right.
Okay.
It was a 1991 Dodge pickup truck. All right. And I think it was like orange and white or something like that. All right. So interesting, right? So they have a truck, and they stated that it had Florida license plates.
Oh, okay.
So now it sounds like, okay, we have a truck which is involved in possibly in the abduction of Kemberly.
Okay.
Now, this is where I'm going to bring up a possible suspect. Okay.
Yep.
Now, I don't know if he's ever officially been named, at least publicly, as a suspect.
Right. Okay.
I know that at least the FBI has talked to Sue Infinger, Kimberly's mom, in regards to this gentleman.
Right.
But once again, I will state he has not publicly been named a suspect by law enforcement.
Right. Okay.
His name is Jeremy Garth Anderson, but he goes by the name Jerry.
Right.
Okay. He was at the time the boyfriend of Kimberly's older sister, Kristen.
Oh.
So Kristen was at this time like a year and a half older, so she would have been about 9. She'd probably been 19. Okay.
Yeah.
So she was dating Jerry Anderson, who I believe was probably around 26 or so at this time.
Okay.
So he was an older man.
A lot older, yeah.
They had been dating at least for a few months prior to Kemberly disappearing.
So he would know Kemberly quite obviously. He would know her from her dating the sister. He would probably know. So where did Kemberly's sister live? She live with the dad, or?
Well, I think she lived at the time of Kimberly's disappearance. I do not know where she was
Right.
living.
Okay.
So she was not living with the dad at that point. However, her and Jerry were living with the dad in Op in July.
Oh, so the boyfriend would have had a key to the house previously.
So the boyfriend, it's believed he may have had a key. Yes.
Yeah.
They could not remember for sure if he did or not.
Oh,
but it's quite possible.
Yeah, it's
quite possible that he had a key
to
the house. Okay.
Yeah.
So, in addition to that, the night of Kimberly's disappearance, Jerry was at a party in Leonia. I hope I pronounced that one correct.
Yeah.
Florida, which is just south of the Alabama border. Okay.
Okay. I'm looking on the map as we speak. Yep. Okay.
So we're probably talking half hour from Op, maybe.
From Op, yeah.
So not that far.
No.
Okay.
Half-hour drive. That's not too bad. You can do that quite easily, quite quickly.
Yeah.
Half an hour. Yeah.
Now, so Jerry has an alibi up until about 2 or 2:30 when he was at the party. Okay. Mm-hmm. But after 2 or 2:30, Jerry has no alibi for that evening.
Oh, okay.
Interesting note. So the car that he was driving that night, he was not driving the car he would normally be driving, which was actually Kristen's car. He was driving a truck that evening, and the truck was actually owned by, it was not his truck. A truck was owned by a gentleman who he used to work for or used to do work for. Okay.
Right.
And so he either borrowed it without telling the owner, or you just call it what it really is. He stole the truck.
Okay.
Okay. So we know he was driving a truck. I believe it is the same truck, the 1991 Dodge, that the police were asking about on August 29th, 1997. Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't know his whereabouts until early Saturday morning. So around 7 a.m. when he frantically meets with a friend to help him dispose of the truck. He said, I have to get rid of this truck. You got to help me. So his friend goes, and he ends up taking the truck and abandoning it in a church parking lot. Okay.
Oh God. Okay.
So then after that, he ends up getting back. He ends up going and I believe meeting at Sue's house with the family because that morning they were going on a fishing trip. So at about 8 or 8:30 on the morning of Saturday, August 16th,
Yeah.
Jerry ends up at Sue's place because he's being there with some family members because they're going to go on a fishing trip.
Okay.
So at some point that morning, so between 7 and 8, he's getting rid of the truck.
Ugh,
Between 8:30, he's at Sue's because they're going to go
they're gonna go
fishing.
fishing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna stick on Jerry because I'm not gonna hold back. I think he's my suspect. He's my number one, and maybe my only suspect.
There is nobody else looking into this. There's nobody else that is suspicious in this whole. I mean, the family have all been cleared. I mean, it's very strange that there is nothing other than this Jerry guy. He's the only person in all of this that's got no confirmed alibi for early hours that morning. So that's why I think you straight away go for him, because he's got no confirmed alibi. And am I right in thinking he has also got previous convictions?
He does. So at the time of Kimberly's disappearance, he is actually out on bond. Okay.
Yeah.
So he had been charged and found guilty of things like grand theft, motor vehicle, burglary, assault. He's currently out on bond for a incident that occurred in February of 1997, and so he's being charged with burglary, aggravated assault, and obstruction of justice.
Okay.
So he ended up being released on bond. I believe it was in June of 1997. So he's out on bond. He would end up going and being found guilty in February of 1998 and actually going to prison for the offenses that occurred in early 1997. Okay. So
yeah.
Jerry's not an angel. By no sense in the matter is he an angel.
Okay.
Okay.
And it proves that he's got a personality where, I mean, if you're committing things like, grand theft auto, and you're committing things like burglary, and did you not also say that there was some sort of behavioral was there some sort of behavioral issue there with one of his convictions was something to do with fighting or something like aggravated assault. So that's obviously
he has violence.
He's violent.
Yeah, he has violent tendencies. Yeah. So
as well as burglarizing places, as well as stealing cars, which he obviously did that night because he took the truck. So he's got no problems with that. So
yeah. And these are things that Kimberly's sister and Kimberly's mom did not know about. They had heard that he had some run-ins with the law like earlier, so it's probably like what he was stealing a car back in, I think it was like 91, 92.
Okay.
But they didn't know that it was as extensive as it really was. All right.
Okay, yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, the family liked him. Kimberly's dad, Kenny, really liked him. They got along really well. I mean, he lived with them. Kenny was like, hey, he had Jerry live with him for at least a month.
So he can't, so that they must have sort of accepted him into the family. And to be fair, not everybody that has a past like that is a bad person. I've got friends that have got similar things, and they're not bad people. It's just circumstance, and unfortunately that's happened. But that is part of his history, and that is obviously you've got to take note of something like that, because those sort of things are there. He has got history of that, and this is all prevalent in this case. So it's I can see why. He's looking likely at the moment as the best suspect.
Extremely. Now, especially when you take into consideration all the family and even the secret boyfriend, they all cooperated with law enforcement. They all took polygraphs. They all had alibis.
Which you would if you were.
If you're innocent. Jerry did none of that. All right. So Jerry never cooperated with law. He refused a polygraph. He refused to really actually talk at all to law enforcement.
Oh, Jerry, come on. You're making yourself look more and more guilty. You're not doing anything to help yourself, are you?
Absolutely.
If you're
No,
innocent, you're
absolutely.
really not doing yourself any favors here.
And this is the other thing that that leans me towards Jerry, besides the fact that everything else pretty much
Points
says,
to
yeah, he
him.
did it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So from the get-go, from the very, very get-go, police were fairly certain
Yeah.
that she was taken across the border into Florida. Her body was taken across into Florida, right?
Oh, okay.
So there has to be a reason why. Like immediately,
Yeah.
they said, okay, we're checking Walton County. That's where she's going to be.
Yeah.
So it tells me that there's law enforcement knows something that would
Yeah.
point them in that direction.
Definitely.
Now, Jerry Anderson, I do want to point out, also is the son of a sheriff deputy in Walton County, Florida.
Oh,
Who
okay.
has the dad has got him out of trouble previously. Now, I'm not saying that the dad knows about what happened or is involved in what happened or even has helped Jerry.
But it's
in
a
what
possibility.
happened. But it doesn't help Jerry that his dad is a sheriff deputy.
No,
That does not help. That does not hurt at all.
Not at all. No. Oh, okay. Interesting. That's very interesting.
It's insane. So most, like I said, most of the searches have occurred in the Walton County area.
Understandably.
They've checked gator holes. They've checked there. I know there have been multiple searches, multiple tips that have come in to where she's located. There was one that's actually really interesting. I'm gonna sit here and absolutely completely forget what year it was, but there was a independent group that came in from Texas.
Oh, I know this. 2001. This was.
Thank you. In 2001.
Yeah.
They came in with their dogs. Their cadaver dogs. And they were searching an area which is called Baptism Hole, which is it's like a campsite area in a state forest there in Walton County. And the dogs actually got a hit. And so when they began to excavate or search the area, they found engine block which had a rope tied to it. Okay, so
because that's something you just do. You just tie engine blocks, you just tie ropes. The only reason a rope has been tied to an engine block is to use the engine block as an anchor. That's the only reason somebody would have done that, because it's heavy.
Yeah.
I mean, even if that was on the surface and it was used as an anchor for something, it's because it's so heavy. So obviously that is significant to something, perhaps not to her death, but perhaps that's significant to something in that. Something went on in that area. You don't just tie, unless they were dumping it there. But I had a look, and it's not an area where things get dumped a lot. It's not like it's there's caravans there, or there's old cars burnt out and stuff like that. So it's not really that kind of area. So there's a reason that engine block is there, and that is strange to me.
No, absolutely. So they end up contacting law enforcement to say they what they found, and that their cadaver dog had a hit. So Walton County sheriffs end up bringing up their cadaver dogs who do not make a hit, and so they end up doing no further search in that area.
So I think something I will have to look up is, are cadaver dogs, are they trained differently, like from different areas? Because this was a non-profit group in Texas that had brought their dogs over, but then you've got the police dogs. Were they trained? They're trained the same way, so it doesn't matter. It's just whatever sort of dead that they would find. Or is it a certain type? Because I know you've got like blood dogs, haven't you?
Yeah.
And then there's cadaver only dogs. I wonder if they were the same kind of dogs. So maybe one, I don't know whether one might have been searching for blood, some might have been searching for body parts. I don't know. Yeah. I'll look into that and have a look. I'm not sure, but that would be weird that one set of dogs do and the other set of dogs don't.
Regardless of what one set does and the other set doesn't do, the fact that you have a engine block with a rope tied around it, I think that's enough to investigate further.
Definitely. That's what I said. You don't have that for nothing, do you? You definitely don't have that for nothing. There's a reason that somebody tied a rope to an engine block. It's got to, and it was in the water, wasn't it? It was under the water. They brought it up. That's what it
Yeah,
was.
this was
Yeah,
in
a
this was in
baptism hole.
Pine Log State Forest in Baptism Hole, which from what I can tell, like I said, it's like a little campground. It looks like
Yeah.
the actual baptism hole is probably a part of what's called Little Crooked Creek.
Right. Okay.
Now I'm curious to find out if that particular creek, or even there is a river just to the north of it. I think it's called East River. Like
And how
if
far is
those are
it? How far is it from
how.
Op?
Oh,
We're not
it
talking like
is
hours and hours, are we?
no. We're probably talking about 15 minutes.
So it's a pretty. You could commute there quite easily from Op and get back again within a couple
Hmm.
of hours.
Yeah. So even if so let's think about this, right? So because we got to remember, he ends up at Sue's house at
In eight, yeah,
sometime
between
between 8
7 and
and 8.
yeah.
No, between 8 and 8:30.
Okay, so between 8 and 8:30, he's back in Op, but we've got nothing
Hmm.
from about 2 in the morning until 8. So that's a long time. That's a really long time, a time frame for you to if it's only a 15-minute drive away to that baptism hole there. I mean, it's 15, 20 minutes, say 20 minutes there, 20 minutes back. You're only talking 40 minutes out of a big
Oh,
section of time.
no, no,
So
no, no. From Op to that Pine Log State Forest is like 50 minutes, not 15. 50,
oh, so
50.
even 50 is not too bad if you're not accounted for
Yeah,
between 2 and 8.
but
I mean,
yeah, this is so we would have to assume that so let's say 5:30 is when he makes the phone calls, or
yeah.
the
Oh, of
let's not say
course. Yeah,
Jerry.
of course, the phone call.
Whoever did it makes a phone
Yeah.
call around 5:30. Okay, so then you have approximately, let's say that he does get to his friend's house at 7. Okay,
Yeah.
so you have an hour and a half.
Okay. So, I
So
mean, to be fair, there's nothing to say that she stayed where he left her. Let's just say he did it. If he
uh,
did something to her so that she wasn't responsive, he then because there's nothing to say that she didn't get into the car alive. There's nothing. I mean, that's her sister's boyfriend. There's nothing to say that she didn't get into the car and she was okay at the time. There's nothing to say that she was killed in
yeah.
the house and then taken in the car,
Well,
carried to the car.
I think the how the bedroom was left kind of indicates there was a struggle. So
Yeah.
I don't see her getting in the car willingly.
Okay. But if she had been, say, tied up and made to walk to the car, that could be a possibility. So she could very well have still been alive, leaving that house.
It's possible. I
Yeah.
don't think so, but it's
No, but
possible.
it's
I
possible.
think I think well, I don't think she walked to the car. Either
Okay.
she was dead or she was
Carried.
incapacitated.
Yeah, exactly.
Incapacitated at that
Yeah.
point.
Yeah. Okay.
Now here's the thing. So even if we're like with the timeline, this is the thing. So we're assuming that he gets rid of the body right away. Or whoever does
Exactly.
this. I don't
Yeah.
want to say Jerry, but it was Jerry.
But this is
Whoever
our this
did
is our
this.
theory. If we're going with Jerry, this would be our Jerry theory.
Okay.
If
So
he
our
did it.
Jerry theory.
Yeah.
Now, does he get rid of the body right away, or does he store it somewhere until he
Yeah.
has more time?
That was my
Because
next. Yeah. Yeah.
he knows that early that morning he's going fishing
Mm.
with the Ramers, or at least with
The mum.
with the mom, or that side of the family.
Yeah.
Um, I would think that if I think he probably would have, because there's plenty of spaces in that area, that part of the country, southern Alabama, northeast Florida, to lose a
Yeah.
body.
Yeah. I
It's
mean, we
extremely
looked, didn't
rural.
we?
It's
We looked at the
very
maps, and there's a
yeah,
lot of greenery. There's a lot of woods. There's a lot of
woods, a ton of
forests,
lakes,
loads of
rivers,
lakes, and yeah,
creeks.
that's right. So there is a lot of places that he could have stashed her body and she wouldn't have been disturbed. Really for a few days, or at least he could. There's a lot. Looking at the map, there's reservoirs not too far from
Mhm.
Op. So there is quite a few places that he could have stashed her overnight. Perhaps I don't know what his timeline is like after. Obviously, he's not. Oh, what's the word? He's not being helpful to the police at all. So
Mhm.
it seems, yeah. Okay, so the truck that he was driving,
Mhm.
obviously that's not his truck, so what happened to that?
Okay, so the truck gets back to the owner, okay?
Right, okay.
And so when the police get to it, they find out where it is. It's back in the owner's possession, and they go to take a look at it to see if they can pull any evidence from it.
Right, yeah.
They find that the truck has been cleaned. It has been vacuumed. It has been detailed. They say
Oh,
that it was like the most thorough, detailed job that they have ever seen on a truck. Now this
which
is a
is
work truck,
strange.
so this is a work
Yeah,
truck, right? So if you know it well, if you have a work
yeah.
trucks usually aren't the trucks that people are taking time to completely
No,
detail. These things are
no.
beat up. They're dirty. They have, you know,
It's
but they
used for
said this thing
work.
was
Yeah,
spotless.
used for work.
It's
That
completely cleaned and vacuumed.
Oh, so if there was no other, if you could, if you could then look at this as a jury, say, and you had to find reasonable doubt, that straight away kicks all the reasonable doubt in your ear, because that's crazy. Why would you borrow someone's or steal someone's truck or borrow the truck as it was, but it's a work vehicle?
Mhm.
Why would you then get it
Mhm.
professionally clean or clean so much? You just wouldn't do something like that. Even if you were sorry for
No.
borrowing it, you wouldn't clean it to
Mhm.
such an extent knowing that it's a work car. If it was his pride and joy and it was, I don't know, a car that he absolutely loved, you might go and do that if you'd messed it up a bit, but you wouldn't do it to a work truck unless you've got something to
Yeah.
hide.
Exactly.
And who does that?
Exactly.
Who does that? So he's really not helping himself, Jerry, because this is just getting worse and worse and worse.
So, here's a problem with this case, right?
Okay.
So, even if I believe that Jerry did it, he's my top suspect.
Yeah.
Even if anyone listening to this right believes that it was Jerry Anderson that did this,
Yeah.
even if the police believe it was Jerry Anderson, we have a huge issue because I'm going to use I'm going to use a legal term, corpus delicti. Okay,
Yeah.
there is no corpus delicti, which it basically means, in a nutshell, there's not enough. There's no evidence of a crime even occurring.
No, because I mean, any good lawyer could say she left. She didn't want to be found. She decided that she didn't want to stay, and you can't really argue that because there's nothing to say that she's
Exactly.
hurt. There's nothing to say that
Hmm.
she's in any trouble. There's no blood. There's nothing to show that any injury has befallen her. So that there is no evidence of an actual crime at all
Exactly.
because
I know
she's
that there was a
17.
crime. You know
Yeah,
that there's a crime. Everyone knows that there was a crime. But the
but it's
problem is
proven it.
there is no evidence of a crime. So that's why
Oh,
this case is it's imperative that we find her.
people come
We
forward.
find
People, yeah, somebody
someone come
must have
forward,
seen something.
oh, seen something, heard something. Look,
Yeah,
this is a small town. There's
yeah,
rumors. Rumors go around like wildfire, okay?
yeah.
There there are there's people that have helped Jerry, right?
Mm,
That we know have helped Jerry. There I don't want to there's a cover up with this, right? I
right.
mean, I'm not saying like a police cover up, right? But
No.
there's a community cover up of this case. And people are protecting the perpetrators of this abduction and, let's be honest, murder.
Because if she were alive, she would be trying to get home. I mean, she had no reason to run away. She didn't take any of her
She had
belongings. She
no
didn't take
reason.
things like her
No,
glasses, her contact
no.
lenses. She had braces on her teeth. So they're going to be looked at some point. She's going to need
Yeah.
dental work at some point, and there would be no way that she would. I mean, the family have said, and it happens a lot in cases like this, that people would say
Hmm.
she would never leave, she would never go, she would never leave. And sometimes people do. Sometimes people have had enough, but she made a lot of
Kimberly does
plans.
not leave.
No, she made a lot of plans, and people that
Yeah,
are planning to leave don't make
yeah,
plans.
she was 4 days away from her senior in high school. The
Yeah.
day before, on August 14th, she got her senior pictures taken.
Mm,
She was a good kid.
yeah.
She was involved in the school. Like I said, she was a cheerleader. She would play softball.
Yeah.
She had great friends. She is planning to go to college. She had that all planned out.
Yeah.
She knew what she wanted to do. There was no reason for her to run. And
No.
there's really nowhere that she would have run to. So it's not like she had a
No,
boyfriend who
that's
lived
right.
in
Yeah.
another state or another location or anything like that.
And she hasn't run away with this boyfriend because he's still there. So it's not like,
Exactly.
so it's not like, so looking at the case, it looks like she's either been abducted or she's been, incapacitated
Mhm.
somewhere around her house or within a vehicle. Somebody has done something. Someone knows more than
I
they're letting
don't.
on.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. And I have a gut feeling. I don't think she was. I don't think she was a target of whatever happened
No,
that night.
no.
She wasn't. She wasn't what they were going after. If I had to guess, I'm assuming this was a burglary in which they didn't expect her to be there.
Okay, so she's just happened to be collateral damage in
She
between. Yeah.
exactly. Um, it's because you have a situation where you have
It's a panic
you have
attack, isn't
a
it? It's a panicked. She's not meant to be there. Possibly, if this
mhm,
is the way it went, and this is how it happened. If he was the perpetrator and he broke into the house not knowing that she was going to be there and was
uh-huh,
surprised, she obviously knows who he is. So straight
yeah,
away, you've then got a witness to the burglary who knows who you are, and the
mhm.
guy's then going
You,
to panic.
you're out on bail.
Yeah. So you're going to be in
You're going
trouble.
to yeah, you're going to be going to court for some crimes, and hey, guess what? Here's burglary as well. I mean,
If
you're
he let himself
talking.
in the house with the key, so
Uh-huh.
if she was up in her bedroom, as they said, or if she came home and he was already in the house, that would make more sense that he was already in there when she came home.
Mhm,
If he let himself in with a key and then she came home and disturbed him, he would then be panicked because he would then have to explain to her
mhm.
what he's doing. If he came in and she
Been
was
there,
already
yeah.
there, he could have just said, "Oh, I've just popped round to get something for you," and he could have got away with it like that.
But he
So,
didn't because
no.
you remember he has an alibi up until about 2 or 2:30.
Yeah. So he must have, yeah. And do we know if he had been drinking? Had he been drinking at that party?
It's assumption. The assumption is, yeah.
Right. Okay. So he could have just had a really dumb idea, gone and done that, and actually been under the
Mhm.
influence of alcohol, which has clouded his thinking and thought,
Thinking,
well,
oh, hey,
I have to
what?
get rid of
I
her.
need some. Yeah, I need some money or I need something.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
hey, I have a key to Kane's place. Kane's staying over at girlfriend's house.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
go see what I can get there. I
Yeah.
don't know.
Because he could have just
Very, very
nipped in and
possible.
nipped back out again and nobody would have known.
Hmm.
But if he's encountered her there and she was supposed to have been home at around 11:30, 11:45, she would maybe have been in bed by that time. So looking at what the clothing that they said, she was possibly wearing a white t-shirt with a brightly coloured design on the front and New
Hmm.
Orleans written underneath. So and grey cut-off sweatpants. So I don't know if
That must
that's
be
what
what
she
she
was. So she must have been like.
normally wear to bed.
Exactly. That's what I
That's
was
what I.
thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that would then make me think that's sort of like lounging around at home kind of stuff. So that would make me think she's got home, got changed, because I doubt she was wearing that when she was around her
Yeah.
boyfriend's house.
No, because I believe I don't. She went straight to the boyfriend's house after
From
softball, so
yeah,
she would still been in her softball uniform, and um, so yeah,
yeah.
she would have got home and changed and everything.
So looking at the timeline like that, it would appear that perhaps she was already home. It was like 2 a.m. possibly. It was after 2 a.m. in
Hmm.
the morning if we're going with the Jerry theory. And then he would have then broken into the house or let himself into the house, not realizing she was there. But surely he would have seen her car there. So surely he would have seen that and recognized that as
Hmm.
her car. But then if I suppose if he was
Yeah,
drinking, he might not have
that's
thought about it.
true.
Oh, it's
Yeah,
so hard,
he
isn't
would have
it?
recognized the chart. Yeah, it is.
It's really awful because her mum and dad and family, they don't know where she is. I mean, that there's suspicions that there was some sort of foul play, but they don't know for definite. That must be so hard as a parent to not know where your child is and to be
Yeah,
presuming that she didn't have a very good end, to her life. That must
yeah.
be a horrible thing. People need
It,
to come
it has to be
forward.
heartbreaking. Unfortunately, Kenny Ramer did pass away, so he passed away
Oh,
without
no.
ever knowing what
Oh,
happened to his daughter.
that's awful.
Stu is still with us. She's still holding on hope to find her and to be able to bury her. Sue is, um, she knows that Kimberly's no longer with us, and so she
Those
just wants to be able
answers.
to
Yeah,
bury. She wants answers. She wants to be able to bury her daughter.
of course.
Um, that has to be tough, especially when you know something bad happened to her.
Yeah.
But you don't know where she is, and especially if you know, or you have a good feeling about who
a
did
certain
it.
person. Yeah.
Yeah. And knowing that, especially when knowing that you let them into your life and
Yeah.
you went fishing with them, and
But there's no excuse for this. Somebody, you can call in a tip to somebody anonymously. You don't have to give the law enforcement your phone number. You don't have to give them your name. Somebody could just ring up and could fix all of this. Somebody could, they could prove that even if they don't find who did it, somebody would know where she is, and they could end this for her mum. She could at least have her daughter back and bury her, like you say, and know that.
Exactly.
I don't understand how people can. I just don't understand how you can live with yourself knowing something like that.
Just one tip.
One, all it takes is just one
phone call, one tip. That's
from a
all.
payphone.
Anywhere. Yeah.
It doesn't even have to be your cell phone. You could phone from a payphone. You could, I don't know, create a fake email account and just email. Just somebody needs to just put that poor woman's mind at rest. That's awful. Absolutely awful.
Absolutely. Yeah. If you do have any information on the disappearance of Kemberly Ramer, you can contact the Walton County Sheriff's Office at 850-892-8111 or the Coffee County Sheriff's Office at 334-894-5535. You can contact the Mobile County the Mobile County FBI at 251-438-3674, or you can call the FBI at 202-324-3000. Like we said, just one phone call is all it's going to take, and I know that we can that this case can be resolved, and I know that we can get Kemberly home to her mom where she belongs, and we just need one phone call. We just need that one tip to make it happen.
Oh, bless her. That's really sad.
Absolutely.
Really sad.
Well,
that is.
It is. I guess that is our episode.
Yeah, that's our first.
Today.
That's our first episode, and hopefully,
I hope it's a tough one.
No, it's a really tough one. It's a really sad. I mean, they're all sad, but that is a really sad episode. Her poor mum. I really feel for her. And her poor dad passing away, not knowing what happened. That's just awful.
Absolutely. Yeah, like I said, make those phone calls. If you have any other information, you can even share with us. Shoot us an email, DM us. Any information helps. If you don't want to call yourself, you can definitely let us know, and we can pass along the information.
We now have Instagram now. We have Facebook. We now have Twitter. So if you just search up Crimepedia, you'll find us. We've both got email addresses. So you can either email cherry@crimepediapodcast.com or morgan@crimepediapodcast.com. We're really easy to find. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere. We've got everything. So we're all sorted. Just look us up, find us, and pass us along any tips if you have any. And then we'll pass them on.
Absolutely. All right, Sherry. Well, let's wrap this one up. We'll be back, of course, next week with another head scratcher.
Yeah, it's definitely a head scratcher. This one has had me up all night researching this one.
Oh my God. And I don't know. I think it's going to be one that's going to stick with us for a while. So I'm excited to talk about it. Yeah. I'm excited to see what you have and what you found.
It is, yeah. It's one of those ones I think that it's going to be another Brian Schaefer. I'm going to be coming back to this one over and over again until it's solved.
Oh, no, I'm kidding. It'll be a good one.
Yeah, it is. It's going to be good. So make sure you listen in next week for the next episode of Crimepedia.
For Cherry, I'm Morgan. And as always, be nice.